my father had the stroke on, I won't forget the night. It was Wednesday evening, about 9:30 in the evening, March 30th, 2011. And it was a night that just, has changed my life and my family's life forever. My dad had a hemorrhagic stroke. He had a blood vessel pop in his brain, and he had to be stroking all day because he was out all day, just out and about. However, the previous evening or two before, I noticed that he was kind of tired early in the evening. He was going to bed early. When I went to my parents' house and what have you, and to talk to him, I noticed he was tired early. So, he came in the house that night. He had been in the city working all day. Came home and went to the bathroom, and my mother said that she heard a thump in the bathroom. So he was saying, I'll be okay. I'm just trying to get my balance. So she called me. She said, I think something's wrong with your father. So I got up and went to her house. I got there and he was on the toilet, just sitting on the toilet. He had just slumped over on the toilet, and I asked him. I said, well, what's been hurting you? What's hurting you? He said, the back of my head. And prior to that, we thought he was having a heart attack. So my mother gave him aspirin, and I thought he was trying to throw up, and they said that's a symptom of stroke, when you're trying to regurgitate or throw up and you can't really get it out. So of course at that time I didn't know that. So I put a bag underneath his mouth, and he kept pushing it away. Like it was trying to come out, but it wouldn't. So I said, but what's hurting you? He said the back of my head. And he just made a face like that, and then he was just out of it. So as soon as I ran and called 911, and they were there in about 8 minutes. So I say the journey just began from there. It just seemed like it was like, it was surreal. I felt like I was just watching a movie that I was just a part of. We got to the ER. By this time it was almost like, I'd say 10:30 or 11 o'clock. And, he was hemorrhaging from his brain. There was just so much blood coming out of his, his brain. And the ER docs was showing us an x-ray of his brain. And they were showing us the swelling and the hemorrhage that was going on, and where it was affecting what side of his brain. And they were just telling us, like, I remember him saying, he said, these first 48 hours are critical. He just, and the way he was talking, it was insinuating that, my father may not even make it through the night. And I just froze, and I just almost dropped to my knees. I just feel like my weight and my legs, I just was feeling it wasn't getting ready to just give out. And I just looked at my mother, and she just fell apart. And I felt so helpless. I felt so absolutely helpless. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're in an ER. They see this all day, every day, all night, sun up to sundown. And they were trying to console me, and console us, and say if I asked me if I wanted applesauce or some type of drink. And it was nothing that was consoling me, So I just went over and rushed over to my father, and I was like, I was crying. I was like, you leave us. I said, you can't go anywhere. You can't leave us. I said, this is not how it's supposed to happen. And I just felt myself talking. I spoke life to my father this first night that we were in this situation. This was almost 14 months ago. And I went over in the corner, and I took some time to myself for a minute, just to make some phone calls to family members or what have you, and friends. And one of the doctors said to me, I'll never forget, he was like, I'm so sorry. And I said, please don't be sorry. I said, my father's going to be just fine. And that was just the attitude that I took. I took a level of faith the first night, it happened. And, fortunately, that faith has been carrying me the past 14 months. It has not been an easy journey. Somebody who's walking around, living their life in a normal capacity every day, and then in the blink of an eye, life just changes. From trying to find the proper facility for him, to the point where he's in ICU, and they're, he's in the ICU unit, telling us he has to be out the hospital in like 48 hours because he's maxed out as far as, being in this particular unit at this particular time. So, rushing to trying to find a facility for him, and, all the things you go through dealing with hospital and personnel and, insurance issues, and dealing with nurses, and dealing with CNAs and PSAs, and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, taking care of your family member properly, because you're leaving your family member in the hands of other people, so you have to go home at night, especially when an injury or illness is so new, you don't know how your family member is being taken care of. And I just prayed, I just kept praying, I felt like it was prayer warriors praying with me, people who, who were family, friends, strangers, just praying. And I feel like those prayers, as they've gone on over the past 14 months, is what has kept my father and sustained us as a family and sustained him. I sometimes want to get in his head and just wonder what he's thinking, or what he's going through, or what his thoughts are, or how this experience is affecting him, because he's not talking yet and he's not walking yet. He's been through a litany of physical therapy, physical and occupational and speech. Insurance issues have caused things to get cut, so he couldn't get consistent therapy. I've had, we've tried to advocate for him, like I said, dealing with going from facility to facility, and just, trying to fight for him to get what he needs. And a lot of times you have to deal with the barriers of insurance based on what type of insurance you have in this country. So it's unfortunate sometimes, what people, as individuals, and what families have to go through. And if you don't have family members or loved ones advocating for you, in this healthcare system, you're really just lost. So I would say just the year has been, as a family, life has just changed. I've had to step in and step up and, help out my mother more, a role that, I always did anyway as a, an adult child, but just helping her out as, her mate has not been there for her. So I've had to step in and just, be there as a support system for her. Try to just, be a rock, and I've just kind of like gotten thrown into a certain role that I never even anticipated or expected that even occur a year. If you asked me this maybe 14 months ago, I would have never foreseen this. Just as far as timing is concerned, I have to carve out time to make sure I'm tending to my father. I'm going to make sure I go to see him, making sure I keep in touch with the doctors, making sure I'm speaking with the people who are taking care of him, whether it's the people in the various medical teams who are attending to him, whatever his issues are, letting them, see that they, that his family has a face, being a support system for him, talking to him, encouraging him. I've done research recently on, stroke victims and certain things that, you need to do as far as, helping them out with their particular issues, like, playing music for my father, because based on the type of stroke he had in his brain, they say music, stimulates brain cells, for your brain cells to regenerate, making a vision board for him, letting him see, us, his family, himself, so he can see, the man that he is, the love that's around him, the support that he has, showing him, and giving him encouraging words, on his vision board so he can look at it and see that, that you can do it, you can come back from this, and if you have a fighting spirit, just documenting his journey this past 14 months, my goal, as somebody who works in media, as a TV producer, I wanted to create a diary to show my father's journey over this, the course of the journey that he's on. No, I don't know how long it's going to be, but I wanted to create a documentary piece to, maybe show to other people, be like a template or platform, to show to other people, maybe other family members, other organizations, other people who have been affected by stroke. And also for him to see his journey, to see where he came from, to see how he's progressed. And even though the progression, is still at a certain point, I've seen the progression even from 14 months ago, just to see from when he had the stroke and just to where he's journeyed to now. And it's just quite amazing, the resiliency of the human spirit, the resiliency of the body, how it's ironic sometimes, having an injury like that. My father was so busy when they go out, he was almost, God forced him to sit down. And it's just amazing, how he'll regenerate you in some capacity. My father has, slimmed down tremendously, of course, being in the hospital, you're not eating significantly, but, I've seen a change in him, but I still see a glow, for somebody to be in the hospital, and been in and out the hospital, in and out the facility. It's amazing to me, but I attribute that to God, to God's grace, great God's, mercy, and, and faith, and also just love and care and attention, because, sometimes you see family members, you'll see patients or people in hospitals, you don't see any family around or any support system, and I just think that encouragement and that support system, it just means so much, it means so much for that individual, and I think it means a lot when people in, on the outside looking in, whether it's in the hospital or facility, they see family members because they see that you want to be involved. They see that you want to be engaged. They see that you care about that person. So that means that they're willing to step in more and to do more. So it's been quite a journey. Financially, you know, having to sacrifice, take care of certain things. As far as like I said, putting in the time, carving out the time, getting out of the box things from my father because as a individual he subscribes to a holistic platform. So what we're trying to do is basically continue that holistic platform for him as far as getting unconventional things for him like acupuncture, certain supplements, vitamins, things that maybe just or have just basically certain vitamin um, consistency basically to help with wound healing and helping with maintaining the body or what have you. So things that maybe like the normal medical world wouldn't suggest or even think of, but things that you kind of have to go out here and research with on your own. So I would say I've gotten very well versed in a lot of things as far as in the medical field. I have had to mature, tremendously. I've definitely sacrificed and put, myself in the back burner. I don't regret anything, because, it just seems like it's a natural progression. Your parents take care of you, so you in turn pay it forward. And it feels like a part of my world has been snatched from me. It feels like, almost like a security blanket, almost like how Linus is, and Snoopy. He always has that security blanket. And I feel like to some extent that has been snatched away from me, and I don't have it right now. And I just wonder if I'm gonna ever get it back. I guess the way I'm used to having it. Mm, I often have a conversation with God on a daily basis. I try to make sure I exercise every day. Maybe not as much as I should be. I've been doing it every other day. I'm trying to get back to every day. As hard as it is making sure that I eat right, which is really shouldn't be an issue based on what happened to my father. It should be a instant wake up call. But everybody is a work in progress. But I'm getting there. Um, I've been actually going to spiritual meditation sessions. Just to clear my mind and to clear my thoughts and just empty out and just replenish, rejuvenate, because when you're putting out so much, when you're expunging so much energy, you have to be replenished. It's almost like a cup just emptying out, and you have to fill it back up again. When you drink something, it's depleted. So if you want another sip, you have to go in the refrigerator, get another glass, a bottle, and fill it back up. So it's almost like that and going to get gas. When you want to eat, you got to fill back up again. So what I've had to do is to mentally, spiritually, and emotionally fill myself back up when I get depressed.